after a conversation with Nick Saban on Thursday, May 1st, Donald Trump is seriously considering entering the NIL space and drafting an executive order that would act as law to help the power conferences and the NCAA expedite the settlement and perhaps do something to rein in what is a wild west of name, image, and likeness. Let's talk about what happened and what he could actually do. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching the #1 college football show, welcome. Thank you for joining us here. We talk college football. We talk football year-round. So if you're into that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. Would you like to see President Trump enter the NIL space and do something about this? And I dare say that there are a large number of people across the aisle that would like to see some form of system in place to stop what feels like, to many, rampant part of our industry. Name, image, and likeness has become, for some, pay for play. What used to be just a baked-in part of the process, you don't pay players, is no longer part of that. It's baked back in as you got to pay to play. Now, you have lots of coaches and lots of boosters that will tell you, look, we're only paying people that are coming to our universities, and really, you're not going to make as much with us if you haven't been here the whole time and if you haven't been contributing the whole time. You know, that thing about working and doing good work. But I think this is interesting mostly because Trump's considering an executive order that would address the athlete payments after talking to Nick Saban. And while there are lots of opinions about President Trump and his administration in college football, we have the same opinion of Nick Saban. Greatest college football coach of all time. And he's become a really good TV personality. And he, generally speaking, has a mood and a way for getting his point across because he's one of the best recruiters in all of football. So you've got the greatest college football coach and closer of deals talking to a dude that makes deals. I thought that taking on the wisdom that Saban would provide has always been helpful to anybody, really. If he's dispensing it, you're listening to it. Are you going to operate with it? That's up to you, man. But I have yet to come across someone who did not feel like Nick Saban was enriching their life in one way or another. That said, he is a football coach, and he was recruiting. And there are guys that he wanted that he didn't get, and there are players that he did get that he wanted to bench. I think for him, it's been about athlete development and personal development, and I myself, personally, I don't think that's Nick Saban's job. I don't think that's the president's job. I think that is the job of parents and people, right? You cannot make a person, from what I understand, do what you want them to do without some sort of duress, or they just want to. So if you're talking about trying to curtail how much players get paid, I'm not necessarily interested in that. I am interested in something like transparency with these actions. Like, we are all interested in how much the players are getting paid, not just because they're getting paid, but because it is really huge sums of money. Most would have you would tell you, look, there are a lot of guys that are getting paid, but it's not as many as you think. And there are some guys that are making millions of dollars, but it's not as many as you think. My favorite example of this is the faceless transfer portal player. And frankly, if you've had a bad experience with the transfer portal or name, image, and likeness, reach out to me. Shoot me an email. I'm around. Find me on the tweets. Find me on the threads. Find me wherever. And let's talk through it, because there have been more players that have entered the portal each and every year since it opened in each cycle. And many of those players do not come out of the portal, which means they're not only not getting their name, image, and likeness deal, they're also forfeiting their scholarships. It's a dangerous game you're playing, right? If you had a national letter of intent, you understood that that was good for exactly 1 year. And then coach would renew it or not renew it. If you had a financial aid deal, grant and aid, you would be guaranteed an amount of time to graduate college, no matter if you finished playing football or a sport or not. It's really a cool deal, and I wish we did more of that, because if going to college and the education is the thing that's most important to the coaches and the universities, let's make it super easy for that person to graduate in time. And perhaps if they got to take 12 hours or the minimum to be a full-time student, you do that because they're also playing their sport which is a full-time job, which is why they should get paid like it's a full-time job. But this is one of the executive orders that could come, just after his first 100 days, and we're 140, heading toward 150 pretty quick. But what's more important in this conversation is not just that he would want to, and that he's taken on advice from not Nick Saban, but also Tommy Tuberville, who coached at Auburn. 2004 Auburn probably should have won a national championship. But Tommy Tuberville is also the dude that left a recruit at dinner in Lubbock to take a job in Cincinnati and didn't come back. Okay. Nick Saban is the guy who went to LSU, looked around and said, yo, why are all the good players? And they told him they don't come here. And he said, BS, they don't come here. And he recruited the hell out of Louisiana. And if you don't know what good players I'd be talking about, well, you one of the purple people, and I'm not talking to you. It's one of the other reasons that I really love Nick Saban. He wants to win. He wants to win. Can you play? Can you come out and play? Are you going to bust your ass? Cool. Then I think we can work together. And all of his players love him. I wish more coaches could do what Nick Saban is doing with the kind of ferocity. But to coach him hard, you got to love him hard. Because if I don't believe that you love me, I'm certainly not going to let you coach me hard. And all of his players believe that he loved them truly. So what could Trump do? Well, there's a part of the proposed settlement that's been held up that the power conferences would like to see put in here. And the part that is really getting under their skin and where he could potentially make the most impact right now is where the plaintiffs and lawyers, the NCAA Power 5 conferences, have been trying to revise a part of this 3-athlete compensation deal that Judge Wilkin is looking through and would like to parse out some language. The settlement has some problems for the NCAA and its conferences and schools, which, cry me a river, y'all billion-dollar industries, but okay. You would enshrine in place to try to protect them from anything that happens after this a federal law, is what Trump could do, that would supersede or preempt state law and would connect athlete payments, NIL rights, and a measure of legal protection to the NCAA and its member institutions against, say, antitrust actions in the future. I think that's where he could jump in, and he's asked his aides to start looking at what he could do. And we also know that Senator Cruz, Ted Cruz, who heads Commerce, has made this also part of his personal plan in this term, right? So we've got most Republicans believe that something needs to be done to curtail the payments or to cap how much is money being spent, because people are afraid that the economic model for college football is going crazy. And I'm going, all I see is the numbers going up and people willing to pay them. Okay? I am not for capping anybody's wage ever. So when you say things like salary cap, I go, show me a players union. Show me someone that is negotiating on behalf of these 11,000 FBS football players, for starters. If you can't, kick rocks. If somebody wants to pay you $10 million to be a football player, take the money. That's what I tell them. You can get what you can get. And again, not everybody's getting that. Not everybody's getting as much money as you think. Most of the NIL money that I see from players, it ain't even open. It ain't a full-time job, right? It's 5 here, it's 10 there. And most of this is baked into their academic performance. Like, for those of y'all that think, oh, so they're not going to school anymore. Most programs are turning out the highest GPAs that they've ever seen among their football programs, because now they can pay the players for making good grades on top of playing football or basketball or whatnot. Like the Alston Award is a great example of this. Just for having this GPA and being a good and honorable student, you can bag $5,000. You know, if that is an incentive to get you through school, I'm great with that. Like, my parents did this when I was very young. You know, hey, RJ, I'm going to pay you $20 an A for every A you get. If you have 5 subjects, right, that's $100. But if you have straight A's, I'll give you a bonus, right? So for straight A's, I get $150, right? But if I got 4 A's and a B, I got $80, right? Incentives. Still got paid for the grades I got, and I was working that much harder, studying that much more harder, because we like to have a little bit of money in our pocket. So this is what Trump could do. I am curious about how far we get, though, because this settlement is probably going to get done. We're probably going to see schools allowed to revenue share $20.5 million across all of their sports. That number is probably going to go up as the television rights go up, as they're also paying out of this House settlement, which is worth $2.8 billion. And a lot of people are going to get paid. But the thing that got us here is we all wanted to play a video game. I don't know if you remember this or not. Ed O'Bannon brought suit saying I should get paid for being in any video game. My name, image, and likeness is being used. And we got the game back. And the game is friggin' awesome. Love it. The Heisman Trophy winner is on the jewel and a 7th-round draft pick and an undrafted player. The undrafted player belongs to you, Michigan, just in case you forgot. Donovan Edwards. Not that dude. Quinn Ewers, 7th-round draft pick. Travis Hunter, everything we thought he was going to be and more. Love that. So when you have those sorts of players that you would love to pay, don't cap it. Pay them what you think they're worth. Okay? If you feel like players are taking advantage of you, that's called business. And you ain't got to have nobody on your team that you don't want to have on your team. You can tell them to kick rocks. Like Tennessee did, Nico Iamaleava. I don't think the predatory conversation is one that has any traction with me. There's no players holding any universities or football teams ransom. That doesn't happen. The power is all on the other side. So any money they're paying is money they want to pay. And I'm going to push for that. But if some legislation that gives bounds and rules that you can enforce, laws that you can enforce, laws that don't just end up suits in court, cool, bet. We can all get behind that. But a lot of work to do before then. It is really interesting, though, that President Trump wants to do something.